Alright, so what a fight. Negumereanu versus Ike Villanueva. So Negumereanu, he's 10 years younger than Ike, so that's a significant advantage, obviously. If it was 27, or sorry, if it was like 30 versus 20, then that's not really a significant advantage. Both those guys would be similar athletically, but you got a 37-year-old, nearly 38, facing a 27-year-old. The 27-year-old's going to have a lot more advantages over the 37-year-old. But he also has a 5-inch reach advantage as well, so let's see if he can put that to use. So both these guys like to be on the front foot. I think that's the battle, honestly, and we'll get into that in a sec, but, both these guys like to take the front foot. They don't like fighting off the back foot. It's just not really their style. For Negumereanu, he needs to be on the front foot. He won't take a backward step. He'll brawl to, keep that front foot. He closes distance quite recklessly, with his chin in the air, head doesn't move, hands are quite low a lot, really bad strike and defense on the guy. Also his punching technique, it's just really bad. It's got weird mechanics on his straight right. Doesn't throw it correctly. He's got slow hand speed because of that, because he's not efficient with his technique. But he tries to throw the counter too, but he misses quite a lot of the time because he's slow and he doesn't have efficient technique with it. For Ike Villanueva, he's got slightly cleaner hands, I guess. He leads with the left hook often, which can get quite predictable. And it's not really advisable, really, to lead with the left hook as often as he does. But yeah, what he likes to throw is the combination of the 3 and the 2, so it's mostly a 2-3-2 or a 3-2-3, or a counter 2-3 or a counter 3-2, something like that. But he does telegraph his striking entries a lot because he does lead with the left hook, which, as I said before, when you're leading with a wide punch, it kind of lets your opponents see what's coming a little bit easier, say if you were to lead with like a jab or something like that. But yeah, I feel like the 2 of Villanueva will be snapping Negumereanu's head back, just because Negumereanu just has zero striking defense, and his head just doesn't move at all. Just eats punches. But yeah, for Ike, his head doesn't move a whole lot either. Both these guys, poor striking defense. But yeah, Negumereanu, he does have a leg kicks that he throws, I guess. He does telegraph it quite a bit. I wouldn't say they're the prettiest leg kicks I've ever seen, but Villanueva, we've seen in previous fights, he does have serious problems with leg kicks. Alright, so break down the grappling. Negumereanu, he mixes in the grappling a lot more than Ike. Ike doesn't really do too much grappling offensively. For Negumereanu, he looks to drive a double onto the fence. He doesn't set up his takedowns at all, and his BJJ, once he does get it onto the mat, doesn't look great. If you watch his fight versus Olutobi, Olutobi was basically begging to get arm triangled. He was hanging his arm. I think he was just overhooking his arm or something, in mount or in some silly position side control or something like that. And he was just begging for the fight to be over and Negumereanu to finish it via arm triangle, but Negumereanu just didn't seem to know what to do with it. It was just a very clear as day opportunity to get the arm triangle or, get a submission from top position, but he didn't seem to know what to do submission-wise. How these guys win fights, so Negumereanu is bloody durable. He's very hard to put away, it seems like. He definitely has the durability advantage, and we'll get into that in a sec, but he seems to have some durability problems. He's got a good chin, but I think he's definitely got a weakness to the body. Doesn't seem to get hit there. His legs are very vulnerable as well. Doesn't seem to have the best leg durability as well. So he's got a good chin, but below the neck, he's easy to put away, it seems. Also striker tendencies for both these guys. Poor takedown defense for Negumereanu, poor get-ups, poor grappling in general, but also just very hittable. His head doesn't move, he telegraphs everything. The dude's striking defense is 26%. That means he eats 74% of the punches that get thrown at him, which is an absurdly high amount. And it's gonna catch up to him sooner or later, but he's just been facing total cans recently. Not Safarov, but Safarov dealt with him pretty easily. So yeah, path to victory for these two. For Villanueva, front foot, and don't give it up. Take the front foot and, don't look back. Just keep pushing the pace. Don't let him take the front foot off you, because as soon as you do that, the fight's over, basically. And we'll get into that, what I mean by that in a sec. For Negumereanu, forward pressure, hit the body, doesn't seem to like it, and also leg kicks. And mix in the wrestling if you want. How I see this fight going? Alright, so, as you could have probably gathered already, I am not very high on either guy, but especially Negumereanu, I don't think he's very good. But the problem with guys like Negumereanu is that they just look so bad on tape, and they just look so beatable that you feel like you could beat them yourself, and that you just want to insta-fade them just because they're just that bad. And you kind of get carried away, to the extent that you don't really even consider who the opponent is. Anyway, that's a problem I have. Personally, is I have that problem with certain fighters. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's certain fighters that I just think are so bad that they probably shouldn't win any fights in the UFC. But they do. Guys like Jonathan Pierce, I guess, is one example that comes to my head. I just think he's really exploitable, but he does have certain tendencies that do allow him to win fights, and I'm improving on that. I'm trying to work that habit out of my predictions, and out of my overall breakdowns of just kind of insta-fading guys. But yeah, guys like Negumereanu, not great, but yeah, they're not great to say the least. But they do have that dog in them, and that does win fights. I tend to like the more technical guy, and the more efficient guy. I do like when mixed martial arts is kind of a bit more nuanced, and it's a bit more aesthetic and nicer to watch. I don't I love a good dogfight. I love when guys dig deep and go crazy, but if it's just ugly and you're kind of just gritting through things, it's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not my favorite thing to watch. I prefer watching clean technique and guys really outclass their opponents. That's personally what I like to watch more than a guy that just kind of bites down the mouthpiece and just kind of swings leather and not really too much structure behind it or thought behind it. But a lot of people do like watching that, like the underdog win and stuff like that. It's just, I have a differing opinion to most people, I think, on that. But yeah, Ike, he's the cleaner striker. Both have very slow, inefficient mechanics on their punches. But Ike's is slightly better, and he's also quicker to the punch. But as I've mentioned, as I've alluded to, just before, the cleaner, the more technical striker, they don't always win, and they don't even always win the stand up. But ultimately, I think it just comes down to who takes the front foot and who is able to, retain that front foot advantage. I think whoever's on the front foot will just kind of dominate this fight. It's imperative for both guys in their fighting styles to have the front foot, and I think whoever takes it will be able to, kind of dominate the opponent. And I feel like it is going to be Nicolae, just because I sense there's a little bit of flakiness to Ike that there isn't necessarily to Nicolae. I think, Nicolae can take the front foot and just kind of run with it, because he's just more willing to bite down the mouthpiece, and he's more willing to take one to land one, and he's more comfortable in a dogfight from what I've seen from both these guys. So I feel like, yeah, he's going to be able to take the front foot off Ike, and he's going to find a finish late just by kind of overwhelming Villanueva, but also Villanueva is just kind of very vulnerable to the body, to the legs, so I feel like he's going to be able to get a finish sooner or later against the brittle Villanueva. So we'll have a look at the betting lines. So if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome. Thanks very much. Really helps out the channel a lot. Comment your predictions. I'm interested to see what you guys say. If you're taking the underdog, if you're taking Nicolae in a dog fight, let me know how it finishes, all that kind of stuff. If you got any questions about the breakdown, post that below. I'll get back to it real quickly. real quick. But yeah, sorry if I was meandering a bit in this one. I just kind of I went rogue a little bit off script. But yeah, so prediction is Negumereanu by TKO round 2 or 3. I think he finishes him late, as I mentioned before. I don't think he should be this much of a favourite though. Like, this type of, Negumereanu's he shouldn't be this much of a favourite against anyone in the UFC, with all due respect. But yeah, I think, the value's on Ike at the moment. I will bet him probably at this price. It seems like the money line is going to get closer and closer to fight night. Closer, yeah, it's going to come closer as, we creep towards fight night. But I feel like, the value is on Ike at the moment. Definitely going to be betting Negumereanu at that price. I was kind of hoping for inside the distance to be a little bit, more favourable than it is at the moment. Because I was kind of hoping for like $1.47 or two minus 215 for the inside distance. Because I think it is going to be a war. I don't think Negumereanu is a reliable enough finisher for me to pay that much juice on the fight ends inside the distance. He has 6 wins by TKO in his career, but he doesn't seem like he has that much power to me. Like, he doesn't seem like he has that much concussive power. He's probably not going to blast Villanueva out of there. Villanueva could probably see the finishing bell if he, doesn't, just turtle up or, just kind of let himself be finished. So that's the problem I have with the end inside the distance, that I don't want to pay too much juice on it. Kind of hoping for the under 2.5 to be like $1.70 or minus 140, but I'm definitely not getting that price just looking at the doesn't go the distance line at the moment.